Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this case covering the fires that are raging across Europe. This is from the Daily Mail. Let's start here. It's like a war zone, they say. Residents show a devastating aftermath after 41 homes were destroyed in London wildfires on busiest day for firefighters since World War II, amid warnings of more blazes today. So yeah, because of the intense heat, which is apparently a historic record, you're seeing, runways melt, train tracks catch fire, and yes, neighborhoods burning. This is certainly a big concern, especially when you see this, looking at the preparedness aspect of this. Yeah, the closer you are to vegetation, it is nice, but when it gets dry, it's more of a tinderbox, and more likely it is to catch fire. This is from France 24. France 24. We're losing everything. Tourists evacuated in France's Gironde as wildfires rage. As France battles wildfires, experts call for rethinking of forest management, which it's getting to the core of this. It's the bullshit about climate change is really not it. Yeah, sure, the climate does change. It has changed throughout the history of the world. Through millions of years, climate does change. But it has to do with other other factors that are a lot more relevant, a lot more likely to be the true cause of some of these disasters, and in some cases, loss of life. London declares major incident as fires surge during record heat wave. You're burning our crops on purpose. Ukraine says Russia deliberately torches grain fields, which is completely to be expected from the Russians. Not only the Russians, you're seeing some elements operating across Europe as well. Many of these fires are intentional, so do keep that in mind. There's that element as well. The left has an interest in making people believe that because of climate change, the entire world is catching fire. So many of these fires are intentional. I know of several of such cases. Now, let's go here with another, especially when you're looking at UK, because UK, even though they're going through a pretty hot season, yes, it is true. It's very hot, historic. Yeah, we'll buy that, sure. This is pretty green, though. One of the reasons, though, you see this is lack of funding. So they are getting to that here in France 24 when they say, as France battles wildfires, experts call for rethinking of forest management. So forest management is, like everything else, it's mostly a matter of funding and proper care in terms of, are we avoiding these potential fires to begin with? No. Why? Because it's expensive? Because some eco warrior will complain that we're cutting down Mother Nature and throw a fit? Yeah, a bit of that as well. A bit of that is intentional by the left and some of the elements that operate for the left. Yeah, looking right there at the ones in Russia that finance often a lot of these things in the West because they know how destructive it is. So yeah, you do that sort of thing. It is good investment. Heat brings UK to halt, sparks fires near London. In the case specifically of UK, you're looking at another aspect, which is lack of funding in a even worse case than what you see in France, because if you look back at the Brexit situation from an economic aspect, when you leave the largest trading group in the planet, yeah, you're not going to be making as much money as before. This is one of the unsung aspects of leaving the European Union, which is, yeah, you're leaving the largest economic group in the planet. You're not going to be making as much money as before. And said, done. That's what ended up happening. 20% shrinking of the economy, give or take, even though they bullshit the numbers as all countries do. But roughly 20% loss of the economy. And this has to come to cuts throughout the spending that the government has. You see it in the NHS. You see it I have my brother living over there. He lives in a nice area in London. They closed down his local police station. Because we don't really need police anymore. It doesn't matter that the crime is going up. We're still going to be closing down police stations. So they closed down police stations. They closed down, aspects and branches of the NHS. They don't spend a single. It is bleeding. It it's running out of money. So when you have so little funding throughout the government, of course you have no funding whatsoever for things like firefighting, especially in a place where traditionally it was not really that much of a concern. So in other countries, and yes, here we're seeing the fire in Greece, which is also a huge problem. In Spain. But damn, you look around Spain and it's dry as a cracking leaf. It is super dry, and it's known that especially in summer you have these fires. But because of that, you have a certain amount of preparation, which is always not nearly enough, especially with the insane spending on the left financing the Ministry of Equality and bullshit like that. You are taking away money that should be spent in other things. Now, it's mismanagement because of the left-wing government making these decisions in several countries. Sometimes, like in the case of UK, it's simply because there's not money for the government to spend. They're running out of money, and those cuts affect you in several manners. I think that the worst part is the NHS. If you really go down to it, the more horrible aspect is, like I was mentioning in a previous video, like that little girl that was told to just shut up and wait to die in UK by the NHS, and the court ruled in favor of the NHS in that decision of letting the girl die. But because she had Italian citizenship, she went to Italy and got herself treatment, and 2 years later she's doing fine. So the girl that would have died in UK in the hands of the NHS is alive and well today thanks to the government of Italy, which obviously has a different take in how they manage healthcare for their population. These things completely avoidable? Yeah, I would say to a great extent, yes. Forest management, like we were just seeing in the France 2024 website, this is a matter of controlling all of this. Again, I get it that it's not traditionally a place where you have such dry seasons, but that's falling for the lies of the eco bullshit about climate change. And this is because of the climate, and it works beautifully as an excuse because, it's not me, it is you. You're using your fossil fuel car, you bastard. That's why my house is burning down, instead of pointing at who you should really point at, which is mismanagement from the government in terms of preventing these things and having fire crews ready to go at, especially at a moment of high alert. We've known for a long time already that in UK you had a very hot days now. What was it, like weeks already that's been all over the news, and yet a fire catches people by surprise and it burns down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 41 homes. Really? They could not stop that? There was no way of getting a fire crew in place and stopping it? Or is it really about lack of funding? We're not hiring enough firefighters. We don't have enough gear ready to go. We don't have enough fire engines ready to get the work done. We don't invest enough in getting this ready. That's really what all of this is about. Now, as for the rest, man, what you realize though here is it's a matter of strategically selecting where you want to be. One of the complicated aspects of fire in general, and I covered a lot of this, of course, trying to promote my books. If you're interested in survival preparedness, the practical aspect of that, Street Survival Skills, it's my latest book and covers that. Financial aspects, surviving the economic collapse. And for this kind of stuff, bugging out and relocating is where I strategically go around about the decision of where is it specifically that you want to be, and where is it that specifically you would be heading if wherever, as the title says, what you do when staying is not an option. So if this is happening, staying there is no longer an option. Oh, Fernando, you don't understand. I already live in my neck of the woods. Well, watch those woods carefully, because if they catch fire, you may not have an option other than evacuating and going somewhere else. Have you planned for that? No, you have no idea what you're going to be doing if your house burns down. I live in UK. It's raining all day long. Everything is super green, leafy, and moist. I'm not worrying about that sort of thing. Well, a lot of these people probably hope they did. And the same goes for a lot of people in all of these other areas where, fires have destroyed their homes or destroying their livelihood. Another aspect, Fernando, you have no idea. I have my farm. Well, if you farm, I was watching some images of I think a farmer in Spain, his sheep were burning. The coat was on fire of those animals. But he's living in the country. He's a freaking farmer. He should be super prepared. Well, yes, fire just gets to you no matter where you are. So you have to be careful about these things. There are ways of preventing a lot of this, especially if you control the potential fuel around you, if you create a bit more of a fire barrier here and remove the vegetation, the potential fuel, there's a greater chance of avoiding having your house burned down. This is scientifically tested and proven. There's actually some great videos in YouTube about how fire spreads and how it burns down a house. There's usually combustible material around the house. It's going to be vegetation. It's going to be sometimes even the firewood that you have laid right next to the house for convenience. If that catches fire, burns down your entire house. So you can do a lot so as to avoid you being in this situation, in this position. Even if you cannot avoid it, having plans so as to get yourself out of there if it's really necessary. So yeah, guys, it's going to be all for now. Remember to subscribe to the channel, be prepared, these things. You'll see a lot more of it, especially as government spending all over the world is redirected to the people that really need money more than you, like the elite, right? Those are guys, yes. The money that is saved in firefighting, the money that is saved in keeping you safe and doing what they are actually supposed to do, yeah, that's going somewhere else, and we all know where that is. See you in the next video, folks. Take care.